Welcome back. I also want to welcome back our three District 5 candidates, incumbent Isabel Salcido, and challengers Richard Genera and Felix J. Munoz. Let's move on. One of the biggest concerns El Pasos have after a storm is the condition of our streets. Homeowners complain about potholes all the time. The question that we always hear is, why are my taxes not paying for this? And on top of that, we have a bond election with a Proposition A, for the issuance of bonds for street improvements. Your thoughts on street improvements and the bond proposition? We'll start with you, Ms. Salcido.
You know, the biggest issue we always hear is the condition of our streets. And even me being born and raised here, streets have always been a concern. For many years, there has been a great neglect in addressing the streets. I think past recent councils addressed the pay-to-go fund, which has $7 million. It's not enough. To address the full needs of the streets, it's about $40 million. And so when you look at that number, it's very big because it's been neglected. And so we have to look at a long-term solution. And so that's when we're looking at ways to bake it into the budget. It's going to need to be a sustainable source of income that comes into that area and addresses just streets, but it's also being sent to the voters to ask them how they want to if they want to address it in a different way. But it's a great need. It's a big number. It's going to be a long-term solution, and so we're looking at ways that we're going to go ahead and execute that this coming next budget season.
Mr. Genera?
Well, streets are obviously a concern for everybody. As I've been knocking on doors and talking to people, that is something that I hear about as well, particularly Pebble Hills, Zaragoza, Montana. There are different potholes at different places around the city, and it causes a lot of trouble. It's a public safety issue. And the fact of the matter is that it is $40 million a year to get all of our streets to a passing grade, and we're barely covering half of that amount. So we need to make streets a higher priority when it comes to the budget process, and if that means that we're going to have to look for cuts other places in the budget to ensure that that happens, then that's a conversation that I'm going to have with my constituents and make sure that they're a part of. There are various projects that have gone around that have been great luxury projects, but we need to make sure that we're taking care of our streets first. You put the food on the table before you buy the toys.
Okay, Mr. Munoz.
Well, I guess we all agree that our streets are in dire need of help. And there's a bond that's coming up for $272 million, which is great if the people vote for it. But then again, that's going to cost the taxpayers money. 5 cents raise, and it's going to be throughout for the next 10 years. So that's something that the taxpayers have to think about it, because we're going to have to pay, myself, all of us going to have to pay for the next 10 years for that amount. It is a safety issue. I'm glad that Zaragoza is finally getting some roads done, resurfacing and everything, which is great. But at what cost? It's going to cost us money, which is okay. If the voters vote for it, that's fine. But it's going to cost us money in the long run.
Okay, let's go on to our next question. Weed growth and weed removal is also at the forefront of many homeowners' concerns. The city has cited worker shortages to accomplish this task. One suggestion is hiring a private firm. Another is asking El Pasoans to volunteer. What do you think is the best option to try to tackle this weed issue? I'll start with you this time, Mr. Munoz.
Simple. We have a lot of people that are doing community service. Let's get them. They're given 10, 15 hours, 20 hours. Let's get them to do the weeds at no cost to the taxpayers. There's no need for us to hire somebody or hire a firm that's going to cost us money. We have a lot of people that are doing community service. Let's use them. And if we can use inmates that are on community service, let's use them as well. It doesn't cost us any money. No taxpayer money is going to be affected. Let's use the resources that we have available and do that. Let's work with the people that we have, community service or inmates are on community service as well, and use them. And it will not cost us any money.
Mr. Genera?
I'm very much a leader that's interested in pulling up my sleeves and getting into the work. El Paso is that kind of community, which is why I was raised and grew that way. And so I'm very much excited to lead a lot of volunteer opportunities with the high schools in my area, with local organizations, neighborhood associations, whoever's willing to come out and do a little bit of work to help our city. Because the fact of the matter is that we do have a lot of concerns, a lot of issues, and it takes a lot of money to pay for all those different things. And where weeds are a blight and we don't like to see them on our streets. I agree with that. I don't think that's one of the priorities that we need to be spending money on. I think that's one of the instances where we can come together as a community, put in a little bit of elbow grease, and solve the issue ourselves. We just need a representative who's going to be out there constantly and leading the way on it.
Ms. Salcido?
Well, it is true, we are short-staffed in that department. We're running about 80 people that are doing potholes and weeds, and it's not sustainable. We haven't seen that kind of rain, and so of course the weeds is unprecedented to our area. But I'm very firm believer. I've been actually cleaning my district for a very long time with community service and with the students, and so everybody comes as a community effort to address it. That's more of a short-term solution. Next week I also have another cleanup. If anybody wants to join, for us to take pride in our neighborhoods. We want beautiful neighborhoods that we live in and be pride to be there. So I am going to continue to do that, and I think for the long-term solution for this is to look at ways that we can hire more and incentivize more for people to work for the city of El Paso.
Thank you. Well, Americans and specifically El Pasoans are facing tough economic times. What are your thoughts on the economy, and what would you do differently to help El Pasoans during these tough times? We'll start with you, Mr. Genera.
Bringing people together is one of my big themes. I want to have weekly community meetings so that people can speak with me directly, let me know what's on their mind, and get updates on what I'm doing to address those concerns. And I know that the economy is tough. Inflation is at all-time highs. Gas prices are crushing people, and especially if you live on the Far East Side and then you commute to downtown or to the West Side, downtown like I do, those gas prices are pretty tough. Making sure that property taxes get reined under control is the first thing that we can do, because in Texas, there's sales taxes and property taxes. That's how we fund everything. And the city of El Paso has become dependent on property taxes to fund our services and everything that we do. And so if we want to make things easier for folks, we need to look at where we're pulling the money from and tapering that off. And that's what I'm dedicated to doing, bringing people together, having those tough conversations, but making sure that people are being heard and addressing their concerns. And that big concern is property taxes.
Ms. Salcido?
We've seen it since 2020. We've seen just a lot of disparity and issues that we've had since then, and even now, it's just hardship to even inflation now. So the way I've been addressing this, I've had community service different community efforts to help them how to lower their taxes. I have a lot of workshops. I've helped a lot of businesses during the pandemic for them to get their funding. Any way that I could bring some aid, some help, I have been disseminating that information on my mail, on my social media, and I have continuously door knocked to let these businesses know that there is help, that I am here as a partner. And I also look to partnering up with the state, with the federal government, to help us as we see this issues transpiring. And so I'm very in front of it and willing to help the community hands-on.
Mr. Munoz?
Just to get the community or our district informed by holding meetings or at the parks, doing with food trucks, have community gatherings, talk to the people as well. But everybody wants to do is projects. What we need to concern is taxes. That's what's hurting El Paso the most, is the taxes. Once we get control of the taxes, then we can move to other projects. But as long as our taxes are out of control, it's going to be hard to take other projects because we have to pay for it. I have to pay for it. We need just to control taxes. And once we do that, at least minimize it, then we can move to other areas that actually need. But right now, taxes is main, and it's hurting a lot of people.
Okay, thank you so much. Ms. Isabel Salcido, Richard Genera, and Felix J. Munoz, thank you so much for taking part in today's candidate forum for District 5. And I want to remind our viewers, Election Day is just a few weeks away, and you get to decide who will best represent you on City Council. You can make sure your voice and your vote count by casting your ballot in the upcoming election.